Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Wednesday, inching closer to the weekend and game week here in South Louisiana as we continue to recover from what we've gone through the last couple of weeks, and sports can be a little piece of that. Jeremy Hill, Hunt Palmer here with you from 12 to 2, and excited to be here. Lots to get to over the next 2 hours. Ed Ogeron was on the SC teleconference. We'll chat about some of those things, good and some bad. Surprising news today that we'll get to here in the opening segment. I want to go back still and look at that UCLA and Hawaii game. We'll do that with a really, really strong piece written on the UCLA offense by 247. Goes through formations, kind of what they did, or in this case, it did not show LSU. Mike Regalado will dive deeper into that at the bottom of this hour. He covers UCLA for 247. We spoke with Mike last week. Now that they've played a game, they've turned their attention to LSU. We'll get his thoughts on that. Saints are headed to Jacksonville. Jimbo's rich again. Bill Johnson, former LSU defensive line coach, will join the show at 1 o'clock. Excited to talk to Coach. I've seen him out at practice a little bit, enjoying retirement, but obviously has a really good handle on this LSU defensive front that should be tested big time on Saturday. So we'll talk to Bill Johnson at 1 o'clock. Got some Heisman talk as well. Pete Futek from College Football News will be on at 1:30, give kind of a look at week one in the college football world. So excited to talk to Pete. But we'll start with LSU. Jeremy, how we doing?
I'm doing good, man. I have some bad news today, but other than that, good.
Yeah, I guess we'll dive right into that. Ed Ogeron met with the SEC media on the teleconference earlier today, and one of the things that he brought up unsolicited, which is something that he does that not every single coach does. Not every coach will just come out there and say injuries. The one Jeremy played for, ain't happening. But Ed Ogeron said Malik Neighbors, talented freshman wide receiver who's made waves in camp for anybody who has been out there, is going to be out for this game, certainly, and maybe out for a few games, is what Ed Ogeron said. So maybe a month for Malik Neighbors, which is a huge bummer for him for a number of reasons. And one, you've worked this hard, get to camp, get to the end, time to go out there and play in the Rose Bowl, and he won't get that chance. And then there are some games immediately following that where you'd like to see the freshmen get out there, get their sea legs a little bit, and learn to play on this type of stage. He won't get that shot, Jeremy.
Yeah, just terrible news. Obviously, the camp, like you said, he was doing everything he could in his power to put himself in position to, have a great freshman season, and then obviously get this news, this part of camp, when you're getting ready for game one. It's just terrible. But I know the training staff, Jack Marucci and the crew, will do everything in their power to get him back and up and running as soon as possible. So get well soon, Malik.
For sure. So what does it do to the wide receiver rotation? Obviously, as Ed Ogeron said on the teleconference today, when asked about Max Johnson, he said, yeah, he just needs to get the ball to Kayshon Boutte as much as he can, and we'll be all right. And that's the case. That's your number one guy. My contention early on, and it's kind of been the way that we've seen wide receiver rooms operate, is that generally speaking, the older players get the first shot, especially when you're going to go out there into the bright lights of the Rose Bowl against a Power 5 team. A little bit different than playing an in-state team in Tiger Stadium when you're going to win by 70 anyway. But you got John Trey Kirkland, who can go out there and play. You've got Jeray Jenkins, who can go out there and play. And Devontae Lee's made some plays. Trey Palmer. These are older players that I think would get the first look. And then we've talked about the four really talented freshmen. I think Neighbors had probably inched himself ahead of those freshmen, who were probably just a little bit behind him, although Brian Thomas has been phenomenal and been a guy we talked about a ton. But I think it's probably early going to be the older guys, you would think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if you see the older guys out there in those first rotations, especially starting out there. They're probably going to come out in 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back. And you just know the John Trey and probably Jeray is going to be out there with the starters, which is fine. I think they're going to bring that veteran leadership presence. They're going to know where to line up and know where to go. And they're going to be excited to really set the tone for the season. So I'm not mad at that at all, but I know these young, hungry Wolves are coming ready to go. So I want to see them get some snaps as well this first game.
Who do you think's next?
I think you probably roll out there probably Palmer, probably Thomas, and then probably Dion. I think you throw on Dion in there early on out there.
LSU said they're going to go 4 wide for most of their possessions. And so you lose one, but we've talked about the incredible depth that they've got at wide receiver. So in terms of not having functioning body to put out there, that's not the issue. It's just a bummer that a guy who's had such a strong camp has caught everyone's eye who's been out there, is not going to be able to participate in the game tonight, or in the game on Saturday and then moving forward. So we'll see. No word. I hadn't even checked into it, but no word on what Malik Neighbors' injury is. Just sounds like it's going to be a few weeks is what Ed Ogeron said. So that's the bummer. The better news, Ty Davis-Price, ready to go. John Emery, ready to go. So is the entire offensive line. Jason Hines is somebody who's been banged up for the majority of camp. Anthony Bradford's kind of been spelling him. Sounds like, based on saying everyone else is ready to go, that's the case, although that remains to be seen. We'll start with the running back room. TDP and John Emery back, ready to go. That's certainly a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to see them really. This is going to be their chance to really set the tune. UCLA's running backs, you saw how they came out game one. Those guys are ready for business, ready to roll. And I'm hoping that we can come out with that same intensity. It just makes the quarterback's job way easier. And you saw Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He really didn't have to do much that first game because the running backs really kind of took over. And that's kind of what I'm expecting from John Emery and TDP. Just been in this program forever. They know the offense. They're hungry, they're ready to go. And it's time for them to step up. So let's see what they can bring to the table on Saturday.
Has he missed enough time to where his reps in game one are compromised?
I don't think so. I think they're going to trust those two guys. It wasn't a shocker to me. I think they're going to ride those guys and kind of let the freshmen kind of fill in where they can. But I think the bulk of the touches, the snaps, and the carries are going to go to the two older guys. And it's their chance, man. This is their chance to really step up and really be the LSU running back that we know they can be, the flashes that they've both shown. It's time to really string that together and really put a full game together.
Yeah, the running back rotation is going to be very interesting as we get through 4 quarters of action and what we think is going to be a fairly competitive game. You know, I was concerned with TDP missing as much time as he was, and that's not something that was just my opinion. I mean, Ed Ogeron said, we need to get him back out there, need to get him rolling, and they've basically called those two guys out. It's been a narrative that we've talked about all camp, but I think those two guys, now that they're healthy, now that they're ready to go, you've only really got one today is really the only time left that they're going to be in pads kind of doing some thudding. I think the rest of the week is kind of get off your feet and get ready to go.
Yeah. It's obviously you would have loved for them to play a lot more snaps during this training camp and really, develop that rapport with the offensive line, get that time and really how to, cut at the last minute and get press up to that line of scrimmage. But I think those guys have played in enough wars. They've played in enough tough SEC games all through since their freshman years. This won't be a shocker to them. Obviously, the Rose Bowl probably won't be sold out, so it's not like they're going into some deafening environment that they should be worried about. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I think that, like I said, this is their time to really show, what type of running backs they really are. Because if you don't, like I've been saying all camp, these two young running backs aren't scared. They're going to step in there. So we need our older vets to step up.
It remains to be seen if Jason Hines is going to be out there. We know that he was dinged up a little bit. He's missed some practice, and Anthony Bradford has been spelling him at the right guard spot. So Jason Hines has played a lot of football over the years here at LSU. Bradford is a guy that the staff likes, but he's probably been your swing guy through camp. We'll see if Jason Hines comes back based on Ed's comments that everyone else is pretty much ready to go. That sounds like it, but again, remains to be seen. How do you think the offensive line shapes up? It looks fairly healthy entering game one.
Yeah, I think going against our defensive line every day for a whole camp, it can't do anything but sharpen the iron that they've been working on and preparing for the season. And I think I'm a little bullish on our offensive line. I think they're going to be better than people give them credit for. I think Cam Wire having the experience that he got last year and really having to step up this year, I think he's embracing that role. And obviously Austin on the other side, just a veteran leader that's on that offensive line. And I think we got enough veteran leadership mixed with some younger guys who have to prove themselves that we can get the job done strictly because of the quarterback we have and all the weapons. So I think they can work around those things.
Plenty of that. So that's kind of the newsworthy stuff from Ed Ogeron today. Malik Neighbors out for this game and probably a few games. Ty Davis-Price and John Emery back at practice. Entire O-line, which would mean Jason Hines. We'll see. The other thing he mentioned is that the team's going to do a walkthrough at the Rose Bowl to kind of get the wow factor out on Friday. They would generally go in there in street clothes and kind of look around is what generally is the case, but they're actually going to put the helmets on, I believe, and go through a full walkthrough at the Rose Bowl. You opened a season at Jerry World, which was an eye-opening place for a lot of people. I mean, one of the most unbelievable stadiums on earth. This is more of a setting and a history situation, but the nostalgia factor plays. Do you think that's important to get those guys out there and kind of get the stargazing out of your head?
Yeah, I think that it's a great idea for Coach O and the crew to get those guys out there, especially the younger freshman guy that we're going to be dependent on to step up and play. This is their first college football game ever, and it just happens to be in one of the most historical stadiums that this country has to offer in the Rose Bowl. So I think it's going to be good to kind of shock those waves a little bit and get them out there on the field. Sometimes it's great to get out there because some of the turfs are a little slicker than you think. You can get to actually see how the turf is and kind of feel your feet underneath you and kind of make adjustments that way. I remember having to play in Oakland and playing the Raiders in the A Stadium, and it was just terrible. We got to go out there the day before and kind of see, like, okay, this part of the field is terrible, this part of the field's okay, and you can kind of get your feet underneath you that way. So I think it's a great idea.
Now that's interesting. I had not considered that fact at all, that there may be something that you want to test out on the field, but that's interesting. You mentioned that. Is there any place that you went, either in the NFL, even in college, that you kind of had to look around on Friday and were like, whoa, or on Saturday and like, whoa, this is a place to be?
Man, I'd say probably Dallas Cowboy Stadium when we went and played TCU that first time. That was my first time in there. I've never played in the Superdome up to that point either. So that was my first real time in a dome, like packed, like seeing that big screen, everything like that. So that was definitely crazy to see. And then the atmosphere. It was so many Tiger fans in the stadium that night. It was just a crazy atmosphere. But the one for the NFL is definitely the A's. That field is terrible. It should be legal to play football games on that field. So I'm glad they built Raider Stadium in Vegas.
Yeah, they've been trying to move for years. Finally pulled it off. So I want to ask about Jerry World and that tour that y'all went on. Did you like go in the locker room, see the whole deal, or was it just walk in, here's the field, put your headphones on, walk around, and see you later?
Oh no, they gave us a real tour. It wasn't like the whole facility, but they showed us like where the Cowboys walk out and the fans are on each side. It's like you're in a lounge or whatever. So you walk between that and you kind of see. We had that same experience, and then you kind of walk behind your bench, which is weird. Normally you run from south or north end zone, but that scenario you're kind of coming in from the side, which was a cool deal in itself because as you come out, you can kind of see the big 50-yard screen as you're coming out the locker room. So that was a cool experience. I think it was smart for Coach Les to get us out there the day before, kind of walk us around, get a little tour of the area. So it wasn't that just huge culture shock Saturday night.
Playing Lambeau?
Yes, I did. I played in Lambeau my third year in the NFL.
How was that?
Year. Oh, it was crazy.
What month was it? I guess I should ask first.
It was early on in the season. It was early on in the season, probably I think October, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just, you can tell how historical it is there. Just the way you get to the field, you have to walk down this super long like tunnel. I'm sure if you're on the radio, you can't see me right now, but you literally are like squeezing through this long tunnel trying to get to the field. It's probably like a 80 to 90-yard walk, and so you can just tell that this is a stadium that's been here for a very long time. And just driving up to the stadium, there's literally nothing. It's like an old neighborhood, no skyscrapers, no nothing. It's just people who are Packers fans for life. So that was a great experience to play in that historical stadium too.
I went up there for the Wisconsin game when LSU played, and you're right. You drive up and you're driving through this neighborhood, and then Lambeau just kind of pops up over the top. And what I was a little bit, I didn't realize, I didn't do really much research on it, was that Lambeau was been really restored on the outside. It doesn't look like an old decrepit, historical place. I think the Rose Bowl still has those vibes where they hadn't done a ton to it. It's just in the greatest setting in college football. Here it is. Yeah. Take a look at it. Here's the Rose Bowl sign with the roses on it all. Lambeau had kind of been very, very much modernized by the time we got there, but it was cool to see Green Bay. It's totally different than any other place in the entire league, and the Rose Bowl has got those kind of vibes, so it should be interesting. I think to get the guys out there to kind of shake those cobwebs out a little bit and get the starstruck out of your eyes, I think is a really good thing. So that's kind of a look around at Ed Ogeron's meeting with the SEC media on the conference call. He'll meet with the media one more time, and we believe he'll be on the Ed Ogeron show tonight. Of course, tonight the Tiger Zone comes back from 8 to 10. Jeremy and I will be back in these two seats talking LSU football, taking your phone calls. So look, your house is hot and you don't have power, but you've got the ability to jump in the car or stream something on your phone because of Wi-Fi, and you can listen to us or want to call in and talk some football while things are trying to get towards normal. We'll be here from 8 to 10 taking your phone calls on the Tiger Zone. That's, of course, every week presented by LeBerge of Baton Rouge. Let's take a break, come back. An awesome article that I read from 247 really digesting what UCLA's offense did. And I think it'll surprise some people. Certainly surprised me when I saw it. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside, off the bench, middle relief, and after further review. Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Saints and all of our area football teams the best of luck this football season. And if you're in need of pods, please give them my name to receive a 15% discount. Call Pods today, 888-776-7637. That's 888-776-PODS. Pods, portable on-demand storage.
Don't risk your AC going out in the scorching Louisiana heat. Have the experts from AccuTemp install your new AC and get 0% financing plus a year of maintenance absolutely free. Act now and have cool air all summer long. AccuTemp, service to the highest degree.
Hey, Baton Rouge, it's Peter Burns. Join me and Katie George every Sunday morning at 6 for Best Week Ever right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Book your next business conference at Carter Plantation. For details, visit carterplantation.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We're previewing the SEC weekend ahead with Russ Mitchell of College Football News. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A huge shout out to everybody who's helping out, whether it's the people that have gone down to assist in cleanup, law enforcement, the linemen who are helping us get the utilities back up and running. We appreciate all y'all's hard work. Everybody knows it's 1,000 degrees and it seems like an insurmountable amount of work to be done, and we just appreciate everybody who's going out there and making things happen. If we can be a little bit of an enjoyment and for 2 hours during the middle of the day talking some sports, so be it if that's our contribution. But we appreciate everybody who's out there making things happen here in South Louisiana as we move things forward. Speaking of moving things forward, LSU and UCLA on Saturday. Of course, the Bruins got a game against Hawaii. We talked about our impressions just in watching the game yesterday. Obviously, UCLA controlled the game on the ground. They controlled the lines of scrimmage. They won on the defensive front and the offensive front. They ran it great. The offense, in terms of passing perspective, was a little wonky, a little disjointed, didn't look great, but it was a resounding victory for the Bruins, and that was kind of our take on it yesterday. But Chris Osgood from Bruin Report Online, which is part of the 247 network, he is partners with Mike Regalado, who's going to join us next, wrote a great piece on Bruin Report Online about what UCLA did offensively against Hawaii. And I guess the best way to frame this is for me to go through kind of the statistics that he's laid out in a rewatch when he charted every play. And then, Jeremy, I'll get your perspective, one, on this, and then two, whether or not you've experienced anything like this at all. This was the most vanilla offense that UCLA could possibly run. Listen to some of the statistics that he's rattling off. They used only 2 spread formations. They used 1 personnel group to run everything at their disposal. They only had 2 snaps in the game where they're in the pistol. There were no empty backfield formations, no sideline checks, no shifts pre-snap, very little motion, and they executed all of that with no formation penalties, no false starts, no holdings, none of that. They played the entire football game, start to finish, in 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 3 receivers. Every single snap was like that. That is a shocking, shocking thing to read. That they came out in 1 personnel group in the entire game. They did not shift at all. They did very little motion. They only had 2 snaps out of the pistol. That's something that Chip Kelly spent a lot of time doing. It is as vanilla a concept as you will possibly find from a first game. They did not run any option. They did not run any jet sweep. It was just straight up, here's a read option, inside zone, outside zone. We're just going to run the football, and they did that. All right, so Jeremy, does this sound intentional that they just said, we're going to beat the brakes off Hawaii in the line of scrimmage and we're not going to do anything else?
Yeah, I watched Les Miles do that for a decade. Well, just literally come out in the most vanilla things we could come in, especially if it's a team that, we really should be, like a North Texas, for instance. We're going to be vanilla as possible and save the good stuff for later down the road. And that's no shocker to me. That's kind of what I thought going into it, that UCLA would not show much, and that if they had the game in hand against Hawaii, they're not going to give LSU anything to really go off of. And that's kind of what I was kind of looking to and trying to see, like, what were they trying to get accomplished offensively, and who were the guys they were trying to find. And really what I saw is they're trying to get their run game going. And so that's no shocker to me. Yeah, I think UCLA, that was a smart move by Chip Kelly. I think they're going to definitely be a lot less vanilla going into week 2, though.
So that was going to be my question. I mean, y'all opened with TCU in your last year here, but your first year in the lineup, y'all started with North Texas, and you played Washington, which was a reasonable team. Sark was still there. They were okay. And then you played another non-conference game that was a pillow fight, and then y'all had Auburn next. And so I'm curious, you said that you'll go out vanilla and not do anything. Is that something that you just notice when you see the play calls, or do they actually say, we're putting this in, but we're probably not going to use it for 2 weeks?
Yeah, it'd be a little bit of both. I think as an offensive coordinator and as a head coach, if you don't have to show your good stuff, you don't want to show it. If you, like, for instance, Les Miles, we're going to run toss dive every chance we get, and it works. We're going to run it over and over and over until you can't stop it. And we're going to save the good stuff for Alabama. We're going to save the good stuff for teams that really are going to game plan well against us, and we're going to have plays to work off of that stuff. So would I be shocked if Chip Kelly came up with some stuff off of these read option plays or some trickery or maybe try to disguise it a little more? I would not be at all, but that's definitely something coaches do going into seasons.
So the interesting thing is that we've had this question back and forth for 3 weeks, or whether or not UCLA playing a game and putting things on tape is advantageous to LSU, or if actually playing a game, getting out there where LSU's sitting on the sideline is advantageous to UCLA. You said steadfastly that it's an advantage to LSU to be able to check the tape. Now you know what the tape says. Was there any advantage to LSU looking at that?
Yeah, definitely. It lets you see that they're not going to come out there air raid like Mississippi State and throw it 50 times a game with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That's just not going to happen, and we saw that in that game. That's something that the coaches are probably licking their chops at, knowing that if we keep these guys in 3rd and long, we're going to have a great chance of getting them off the field time and time again. And I know that they're going to be leaning heavily on their run game. No matter how you do it, whether you're running pitch, whether you're running option, whatever plays you want to call, we know UCLA is going to be depending on these two running backs to get their offense going. And that's LSU. That's all you can ask for.
I agree with one thing he said. I disagree with another thing he said. I think absolutely that Chip Kelly is a run-first coach. He wants to run the football. He ran it a ton at Oregon. They're going to run it against UCLA. Their offensive line's pretty big and physical, and they've got two really good backs. Totally with you on the fact that they're going to run the football first and foremost, and that's how they want to beat LSU. I don't necessarily know how much we know about their passing game. If they're going to be that vanilla, run just this personnel, not throw anything creative out there, and just try to kind of make some plays one-on-one, it may not look great because Dorian Thompson-Robinson is not going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, and they don't have Calvin Johnson out there playing wide receiver. But there may be plenty in that passing game with some route combinations that LSU simply has not seen from playing this game where things were so vanilla. I mean, the one big pass play they hit was just a simple 9 route, and they kind of threw it up, and the kid made the play over the Hawaii guy and walked into the end zone. But I think that there's plenty left in there that LSU doesn't know necessarily much about at all.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that point as well. Obviously, they have a bunch of stuff that we have not seen, a bunch of stuff that they can game plan against us, a bunch of stuff they watched from last season, probably the Ole Miss game. They're probably licking their chops from the Ole Miss game like, oh, we got him here. We like this matchup against this guy. We like that matchup against that guy. But like I said before, is I love the matchup with our DBs against their receivers. That's why I feel like we have the edge. And if they are going to come out there pass heavy, I think that plays right into our favor. You don't want Dorian Thompson-Robinson sitting back there 10 yards deep with our defensive line coming off the edge time and time again. That's not a recipe for success for the Bruins, I don't think. So that's why I felt if they're going to come out there and really try to run the ball against us, I feel like they're playing into our hands as well. So we'll see how it goes, though.
You have been steadfast in saying that, look, I like this team a lot. I'm a homer for LSU. I think all this stuff is good. I have been pretty complimentary throughout all of practice. It's been a sunshine pumping show, but I've tried to search the other side of it. I've tried to think, look, this was the worst pass defense in the country last year. Like, okay, there may be some real significant issues. But then I look at Stingley, and I see no issues if he's healthy. I look at Ricks, I see very minimal issues if he's healthy. I love that out there, and I tend to think that the safeties are going to be okay. I'm trying to get to the point where maybe we're missing something, and they're not going to cover, and UCLA is going to score a bunch of points because the defensive issues aren't fixed, and the defensive coordinator wasn't prepared for this level. It's harder for me to get to it's going to be rough on the secondary than it is to go to the secondary is going to be pretty daggum good.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like I always say, my homer bias comes out on a day-to-day basis on this show, but I try to keep it as real as possible with you guys. Obviously, if we were playing Alabama this week, it wouldn't be this many sunshine and rainbows going out, but I honestly just think we match up well against the Bruins. I think we have the matchups. It's up to the players to go out there and win the matchups, but if you go paper to paper, you look at our defensive backs, you look at their receivers, it's 5-star guys against a bunch of 3- and 4-star guys, so it's like, I got to roll with our matchups on that. So we'll see how it goes, but I definitely don't think their passing game is anything like we played last year. And honestly, I don't think they're going to be able to pitch it around the yard. And if you can't do that, you're going to have trouble just running it down our throats. So good luck with that.
I simply don't disagree with that in any way, shape, or form. E-Tail's bringing you live broadcast from the Lowe's Hollywood Hotel. Starting Friday, the Off the Bench guys will be on the air from L.A. Matt Moscona, after further review, he will follow from L.A. as well. That'll continue on Saturday afternoon, Eagle 98.1 Game Day from L.A. as well. You can listen on 104.5 ESPN. You can watch us on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel all day Friday and Saturday. ESPN Baton Rouge live from Hollywood is brought to you by E-Tel. That's Louisiana's fastest internet provider. We're going to talk about the Saints. They found a new home for week 1. That's closing out hour number 1. But next, Mike Regalado covers UCLA for 247. He was there watching the opener. He's been at the press meetings this week with Chip Kelly and some of the players. We'll get to Buzz. What's going on from Pasadena? That's next on Hunt and Hill.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
In the sunshine, everybody loves the sunshine.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. Need repair? Our service department is ready and available to help you today. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's my go-to beer. Not too heavy, not too light. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, that's whoopsie daisy. Oh no. Is there somebody that can help? Come on into the room. It poured right in the keyboard. Relax. I spill beer on my computer all the time. Sam Adams Boston Lager. The Boston Beer Company, Boston, Massachusetts. Drink responsibly.
Hey, y'all, it's Marty Smith. Join Ryan McGee. Hey, that's me. And me for Marty and McGee, Saturday mornings, 7, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Insurance companies know who Peyton Murphy is and know he will fight for maximum value for your injury. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, the final show before the boys head to California to the Rose Bowl. I have Executive Chef Michael Johnson answering your Munchies questions, more LSU UCLA, and college football week 1. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We're out in the open field on a Wednesday, Hunt and Hill. Let's take it out to beautiful Pasadena, California. Mike Regalado, who joined the show last week, good enough to do so again. Mike, appreciate your time. How we doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Look, you guys have gotten to see a football game, and so wanted to get your thoughts on that. And I just saw a headline come up on y'all's site that Chip Kelly has called this their Super Bowl. I want to get your take on that. But first, let's go back to UCLA and Hawaii. I'll just leave it open-ended. What'd you think?
I personally, just from what I've been seeing, the progress that I saw last season, I kind of expected it. We saw that UCLA's defense was much improved, and the offense, there's no question that it's been, clicking pretty much from the beginning of the Chip Kelly season, although there were a few speed bumps in year 1 and 2. Last season, different story. So what I saw in Hawaii is just what I expected. I knew that they were going to have a good run game. The defense was going to be all over the place. DTR having a rough first half. Didn't see that, but I did like how he kind of picked things up in the second half. So overall, really good game plan. And he didn't give too much away. I noticed that things were getting a little bit vanilla, in the second half, especially when they were already up 31-3 in the middle of the second quarter.
For those looking for some UCLA coverage, Mike and his team over at Bruin Report Online do an awesome job, part of the 247 network. And you just mentioned kind of getting vanilla. Chris Osgood wrote a great piece that I enjoyed very much this weekend about just how vanilla things were, and talking about going out of one personnel group, no shifting, very little motion. I mean, obviously this was by design, but it was effective.
Definitely, because I think Chip Kelly wanted to try to get out to a nice, comfortable lead. If he didn't, we might have seen a different game plan in the second half. But yeah, like I said, 31-3 in the second quarter, you don't really have to show anything after that. Just run the ball, which they did. I mean, even when DTR came out, Ethan Garber's the backup quarterback. We didn't see a lot from him. I think he had one reception, maybe 2 attempts. Chip Kelly did not give anything away. And especially last season, we saw a lot of different innovative things. Not really trickery, but just really innovative. Chip Kelly, and offensive line coach Justin Fry have done a really good job of not only developing the offensive line, but putting in like little tweaks. And then they said, Justin Fry said a few weeks ago that because they have all this upperclassmen, this personnel that has been with the program for a while, and they're deeper. They can now do what they've been doing, but they can add tweaks, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned earlier there that DTR had struggled in the first half, didn't quite see that coming as a veteran 4-year starter there. It would be tough to see coming. What did you make of his performance? Did you speak with him after, and kind of what did Chip think about his quarterback kind of scuffling a little bit out of the gate?
Even DTR said that he didn't perform the way he should have. He tweeted out something like, "Should I play better?" Yes, absolutely. But he was also happy with the production the rest of the team had. And honestly, the way that the running game attacked Hawaii, he really didn't have to do much. So it's not great that we saw some more overthrown balls and a few times the receivers, had dropped some of the balls. But either way, when you don't have to rely on that with a dual threat quarterback like DTR, and you have 2 bruisers in Britton Brown and Zach Charbonnet doing all the work, that you're good to go. Now you just need to put the passing game together, and they could be a huge threat at that point.
How confident do you think Chip Kelly is if the passing game isn't working, he can get the run game going like last week against the Rainbow Warriors?
Oh, very confident. I mean, his run is the bread and butter, and he's been shifting more the run pass play percentage per game has been slowly shifting to more and more towards the run game since it has in year one. Year one seems to be the most balanced between pass and run, but the last 2 seasons we've just seen Chip Kelly just run the ball, and he's going to run the ball. That's going to be his stamp, even though, he says he wants to be balanced. I mean, you have to have a balanced game plan going in there, because if they stop the run and you don't have a pass game, that puts them in a compromising position. But I think DTR will he definitely will have learned from last week's game, and I believe he'll be ready this Saturday.
Eli Ricks, number 1 cornerback coming out of high school. Derek Singley, also the number 1 cornerback coming out of high school. How confident are these UCLA receivers to be matched up with some of the more premier corners in college football?
Oh, I hope they're prepared, because UCLA has some talented receivers, which we didn't see a lot of last week. So that was an interesting part of the game plan. But yeah, like you said, LSU has some NFL level talent at the corners, and they are going to put a hurt, I believe, at different points on the Bruins. But I think Chip Kelly will have a solid game plan. he's not going to keep the ball completely away from the receivers on those sides of the field, but at the same time, he's going to want to spread it out. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of Greg Dulcich, which we didn't even see. We saw one pass, I believe. You saw one pass against Hawaii.
Yep.
And Greg Dulcich is just a solid tight end, probably one of the best in the Pac-12. So they have a lot of options. So I'm sure Chip Kelly is going to really scrutinize the LSU defense and see where he can strike.
Mike Regalado covers UCLA for the 24/7 Sports Network and also producer of the What's Brewing show. Got a preview up of the LSU game. A lot of people in Louisiana have a lot of free time, Mike, so we'll push them your way to see a preview of the game. Let's talk about this weekend. You have a story up on the site. It says Chip Kelly is calling this game their Super Bowl. Put that into context for us.
He was just talking about I believe. I got to go back and watch the video, but I believe the question came off of Ed Ogeron saying that they're treating this like a bowl game, and so Chip Kelly was asked if this was like a bowl game, and he was like, it's a big game, coach speak, whatever. But yeah, he finished that comment with, for this week, this is our Super Bowl, and I'm sure that it's this week, it's the Super Bowl for LSU. So both teams are going to go in ready for battle, and yeah, so that was an interesting comment, and it showed the mentality of Kelly and his players putting this game into perspective. So I'm hoping to see a really good game between both teams.
Ben Bolch was on with our afternoon guy last week, and it kind of said, look, this through 3 years, the Chip Kelly experience has not been a success. It's almost been a disaster, but that doesn't mean that year 4 can't rescue things. What would a win on Saturday mean?
Oh, it'll be huge. I mean, for one thing, you'll turn the fan base around, so that's a start. Yeah, there's still a lot of UCLA fans that are not on the Chip Kelly train, but I think a lot of them turned last week. So if they get a win against Louisiana State, the number 16 team in the nation, that's going to not only bring more people into the Rose Bowl, but it'll give more confidence in the fan base that Chip Kelly finally. Taken a while, but finally has got this thing on the right track.
For the Bruins to take down the Tigers this Saturday, what's one player you think has to really step up and have a breakout game?
For UCLA?
Yes.
I would say, I got to go with DTR. Just the way that he played last week, he definitely has to have a stellar game. He has to be at the top of his game. That's kind of like a gimme answer, but like I said, just because of what he did last week, I think he needs to prove that he can be this elite quarterback leading an elite offense. But I also think on defense too, the linebackers, any and all of them, they cycled in a lot of linebackers, but whether it's Alikeo, Caleb Johnson, whoever, they have to step up a little bit, because one thing that did concern me was the fact that Hawaii was actually able to get their passing game going and was able to get in between the Bruins coverage, even though a lot of the completions from the Hawaii quarterback was in junk time. It's still a little worrisome that some of the Bruins seem to get to the ball late or was allowing passes in between the coverage.
Mike, this is usually the last question I ask an opposing beat writer before it's time to kick it off. If this game came down to a 42-yard field goal from UCLA's kicker, how would Chip Kelly be feeling about that? And then what's the track record here of this kicker?
He was a walk-on, Nick Barmera, brother of Anthony Barr, former UCLA linebacker, and now with the Minnesota Vikings. So there's some athleticism in that family. But he was, I would say Nick Barmera was an average kicker last season. From what I've been seeing, his foot has gotten stronger, and he's been able to hit 35, 40, 45 yarders with a higher percentage and with some extra air under the ball. So I think that he'll do a solid job if called upon.
Mike, we really appreciate it. Y'all brace yourselves. There's a purple and gold wave headed that direction here over the next 48 hours. So enjoy the ball game. We've enjoyed our time with you, and all the best.
Thank you very much. You guys take care.
He's Mike Regalado, covers UCLA for the 247 Network. I was up in Shreveport, my parents' house this weekend, Jeremy. My dad he's a dentist. He works in Shreveport. He doesn't fly a lot for business. He doesn't really fly a lot, period. So. And when he has a flight, he wants to prepare himself for it. And He's going to be in the air, as I count it, for about 7 hours total. Shreveport to Dallas, Dallas to LA, and then LA to Dallas, Dallas to Shreveport. About 7 hours. He's got 8 full movies in the entire first season of Making a Murderer on Netflix downloaded to his iPad. I counted, it's 28 hours of entertainment he's got to be in the air for 7 hours. I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. He can make another trip if he needs to. He's got movies to go.
He can go to freaking Ireland and come back. It's unbelievable. My mom's just trying to figure out a way to get alcohol on the plane because they don't let you do that anymore. So it's priorities. Who has 27 hours of footage and who can get a glass of wine and do a McDonald's cup? They're going to figure something out. They're flying out of here at about 4 o'clock, headed to UCLA, and I think there's a huge army headed that way as well. So it should be fascinating. And I've enjoyed our chats with Mike. He does a great job. If you're looking for something to read or something to do from the other side, and you've been reading the exact same practice reports from us and everybody in Baton Rouge for the last 3 weeks, the guys at 247 do a good job, and there's some really good pieces, some good podcasts over there, so we appreciate Mike jumping on. Let's take a timeout. Close out hour number 1. Saints have a home for game number 1, and somebody in the SEC's real rich. That's it. Hunt and Hill.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield.
That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal. For more information, visit garciadidmyroof.com.
And game day apparel.
That's Harper's Haberdashery, Highland Road next to French Market Bistro, just south of I-10.
Hey, it's Dory Noka. Join me and Mel Kiper Jr. for Dory and Mel Saturday mornings at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We never step foot in the dealership. Bayou Ford makes it so easy.
Shop BayouFord.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We're previewing the SEC weekend ahead with Russ Mitchell of College Football News. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bill Johnson, former LSU defensive line coach of last year, retired this offseason and has been out of practice a little bit and has coached these guys, all these guys that have returned. We'll talk about the group that he has left behind and what he's seen from them in practice. Can't wait to talk with Coach Johnson. I've done that a few times for the pregame show over the last couple of years. He's great. So looking forward to chatting with him here in about 10 minutes. Well, let's start here with the Saints. They know where they're going for week one. There was some thought about potentially doing a Jerry World and kind of looking at some options. Saints and Packers will kick off from Jacksonville, Florida in week one. I heard Sean Payton chatting over the last couple of days with the media about what they're looking at for a home away from home. They don't think they're going to get back for probably 4 weeks. Obviously, we know that the state the city's in right now, there is no power. It's just not livable at the moment. So a lot of people are looking for options away, and the Saints are one of those. And so they've been in Dallas. Looks like they're not going to go there, but they wanted to stay east because their first road trip is Carolina, and then they're at New England. So they were looking at maybe Oxnard, somewhere out in California, where the Cowboys have a facility, and it's good for practicing, but the travel's no good. And you got to have hotels. You got to have the ability to have your whole team set up. And they think Jacksonville is going to offer that. So it looks like they're going to head there. The Saints will practice today on Wednesday, and then they're going to break for the next couple of days, allow everyone to go home, assess their situation, reconnect with family, and then they'll all reconnect in Jacksonville and get ready for a game week against the Packers. I don't know if you've experienced anything like this type of thing, but the Saints certainly have in the Peyton era. He's familiar with it. Obviously, a lot of the players probably not. Cam Jordan can probably tell him a thing or two about it, but it's something that the Saints have dealt with before, and they'll have to do it again.
Yeah, I haven't had to deal with it since probably high school football, just dealing with hurricanes and being off from school, trying to still figure out to get games scheduled and everything like that. As far as NFL goes, never have to deal with anything like that. So I know it's going to be a lot for the players, especially guys who have family in Louisiana, who's moved their family to Louisiana. It's just a tough thing. So you just got to pray for everyone and hope for the best. But I think Jacksonville is definitely a good move. It's definitely driving distance for a lot of Saints fans. So hopefully people can still turn up. I know everyone's going through a lot right now in Louisiana, but hopefully we can still get some people to the Saints game that support the Saints.
If there are still people who are in Florida who are working away from home and spending some time out there, step on over to Jacksonville. It's Gail Benson has been really good with this. She's obviously footed the bill for all the Saints over while they've been in Dallas, doing that whole deal and paying for meals, paying for lodging, all that kind of stuff. And she'll continue to do that moving forward. She's also pledged money to the relief fund, as they generally do. Arthur Blank for the Falcons owner, has put up $1 million from his foundation to help down there. Leonard Fournette has pledged $500,000 to his hometown in relief efforts. So a group effort there. For everybody involved, which is a really, really good thing. And look, it's just too much is given, much is expected, and they've certainly done a ton.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely great that people are really trying to go out of their way to give back to the city of New Orleans right now, especially at this time. And people really, some people losing their lives, some people losing their homes, some people losing everything that they have personal wise. So that's definitely a lot that you don't want to be going through. So definitely kudos to the Benson family and Leonard and everyone else who's giving back to the people in need right now.
Jimbo got an extension. You see that?
Yes, I definitely did.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. It's no hate towards Jimbo. It's no hate. Jimbo's doing his thing. Definitely one of the more higher paid coaches in all of football now, over $9 million a season, which is a hefty price tag for the Aggies. But I'm sure they're not really tripping over that. Jimbo's definitely got their program in a lot better direction than they were in the past 10 years. So I definitely wish the best for Jimbo, but I don't see him beating our Tigers anytime soon.
$9 million a year over 10 years. That's 90 more million. They continue, no buyout. It just is what it is. And look, college football is all about who you got as your coach. That's what matters. And he's done a really good job over his time at Texas A&M. They've continued to get better. Now we'll see if they continue that climb this year or if things settle back down. But the fact is that A&M's found something that they like. They found a little momentum. They're comfortable with where they are, and they're going to extend that, and that's what they see fit. So I can't disagree with it. I've been pretty transparent. I think that they're going to have a pretty good club this year. Continue to recruit at elite level. See if he can continue to put those quarterbacks out there as Jeremy throws himself down. So he's going to be a very wealthy guy. Well, he already is, and he's going to be even more so. I'll finish up hour number one. Bill Johnson, LSU former defensive line coach, will join us at the top of the next hour. Pete Futek as well at the bottom of that hour. So don't go anywhere. Come back on the other side of this timeout. You're listening to Hunt and Hill on a Wednesday. Capital City's leader in sports talk. It's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
First call systems as well as school intercom systems.
Online at ExecutoneLA.com. Executone of Louisiana.
Most of my clients were referred to me by former clients. I'm even proud to say that some insurance adjusters secretly referred their friends and family. If you've been injured, I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
Offices in Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Dorian Oka. Join me and Mel Kiper Jr. for Dorian Mel Saturday mornings at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, Baton Rouge, it's Peter Burns. Join me and Katie George every Sunday morning at 6 for Best Week Ever right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 WNXX Jackson, 104.9 KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour is brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour 2 here, Hunt and Hill, coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, downtown BR. Head out to the phone lines now. It's our pleasure to be joined by Coach Bill Johnson, LSU defensive line coach the last couple of years, and has stepped into retirement. Coach, I hope the whole family is safe and sound. How are you?
Doing great. We down here in Georgia. I'm sitting on my boathouse right now, just enjoying this cool weather.
I can't believe it's cool in Georgia now.
Well, it hadn't been, but y'all, thankfully for what y'all got down there, y'all blew something in here.
That may be the case. Well, we appreciate your time today. Look, yep. I know that you've been out to practice a little bit, saw you out there on the sidelines, and you've coached a lot of these guys that Coach Orgeron's going to take to the Rose Bowl to start the 2021 season against UCLA. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that. First of all, some guys that certainly could have gone on and probably made NFL roster decided to come back for another year to right the ship after what was a really rocky year for so many reasons in 2020. Can you talk to me about Neil Farrell and about Glenn Logan and about Andre Anthony, about the character those guys have and what they have to prove coming back for another year?
Well, the first thing I will tell you is those are three good young men, and they're going to be successful even if it's football or somewhere else because, boy, they have really worked hard and been at LSU, 5 years, 6 years now? And I think each one of them made the right decision. I think every one of them's got a chance to play in NFL, but there's no doubt they were sitting in that position that a year's on LSU's football team will probably be more financially better for them in the long run based on what they can show and prove this year, which would improve their status in the draft.
One of the guys I didn't mention who had every opportunity to move, but he'd only been at LSU 1 year, would be Ali Gay, who came from the junior college ranks and was so disruptive in that Mississippi State game and then kind of came on later. What makes him tick?
Well, his heart. And that's one thing you can't measure in football players is their desire to play. And he's a great kid. And that's what you said. You said the word character. Those guys got a chance to be really good because they're team players. They went through a tough year last year. We go to Florida. We got 50-something, maybe 50 guys on scholarship and 4 to 5 D linemen. They're about to die. And they've paid a price. And I'm going to tell you, when I watch practice, I really have seen a lot of improvement. And I was really impressed with the football team. And I could just tell with talking to him and going in and visit with him, he's excited about it too.
Piggybacking off of the defensive line, have you got a chance to look at the young freshman Mason Smith? And if you have, what do you think about him?
Well, listen, he's body ready right now for the NFL. And what I've found, and since he's watched a little tape in the spring and watch this, he's much more athletic than I saw when he was playing in high school. Now he's 20, 30 pounds lighter or whatever it is. I know he's lighter, but he's got a great makeup. That kid's going to be successful, and he's going to be one of the great ones at LSU. And I can just see it. I know he is.
What's the biggest thing that you would like to see from this defense going into UCLA? Obviously not the defense we would have liked to have last season.
Well, no, last season when you get down to it, the whole thing was explosive plays. The just blown coverages and getting out of a gap or whatever. I mean, everybody's got their finger in the pie, when you're not successful. So it's no one person's fault, but you can't play football at any level when you have those type of explosive plays in a game, because there was times you could just take the tape and cut those explosive plays out and see pretty decent football that we could have survived with. But you're not going to overcome, especially in the SEC, playing how many 10 games, whatever it was, giving up that many explosive plays.
Bill Johnson,
and
our guest.
It was something that happened in the first game, and we got a little better at it, but we just really didn't get it cleaned up.
Bill Johnson joining us here on Hunt and Hill, former LSU defensive line coach. Obviously, it's really difficult to ask a freshman to come in and play significant snaps on the defensive front in the SEC. But sometimes towards the back end of a freshman year, guys kind of start to figure some things out. Just to my novice eyes, Jaquelin Roy over the last 3 or 4 games really made some plays that made me notice. What did you think of his play last year and what he can be entering his sophomore season?
Listen, Jay Roy can be whatever he wants to be. I think that he's made a little improvement from a work ethic standpoint, those type things. And listen, that's okay. Freshmen don't know what it takes to win in the SEC, and they have to sit around and see it, and be around other people. So he will grow, and I think he'll have much better season this year even, and grow a lot this season.
This is as deep a front as LSU's had in some years, obviously with COVID and giving every guy a chance to come back. How do you think Ed will handle the rotation of this group?
Well, if you got them, you play them. That you got to with defensive linemen, and the more you can play, man, defensive line is probably the one that you, if you have numbers, you got strength. And if you have the number of people he's telling me that he's ready to put in a game, then you ought to keep a fresh bunch out there. The pass rush ought to keep getting better, and it's nothing better. Hey, listen, I've had some good players, and they wanted to play every play, but we reduced their snaps, and their production goes up, and they finally realize it. So everybody's got a different length of time they can play and stamina that they got, so they got enough people to really get a rotation up there, and it's going to be very beneficial.
I got to be around this 4-2-5 system that Durante Jones is bringing in. It's going to be a lot of double A gap stuff with ends dropping. Do you trust the defensive ends we have on this roster to drop out in coverage and guard the flats?
Well, yes, I do. That's not a very hard technique like people think it is. You just got to carry two and just sit in an area. And if the pressure don't get there, the coverage don't hold up anyway. So anytime you zone pressure, if the guy can hold the ball, you got a bad coverage. That a 3 deep and two underneath, however the distribution is, you don't have a good coverage if you don't get the ball out quick. So those are downs where you want to get the ball out quick, maybe make the guy check it down because he sees pressure, rally up and make the play before the change and get off the field. But I'll tell you, I know this. Coach Jones has been trained very well. I know the system he comes out of with Mike Zimmer. I've studied it through the years, that double A gap. They have a better feel for it than anybody I've ever been around. And just talking to some guys that I know, I didn't know him very well. They say he's a hard worker and really smart, strategic guy.
You've been out to practice a little bit. Obviously, last year was crazy for a number of reasons, but have you noticed a pickup in the energy level and the intensity level out there for guys to get out there in 21?
Heck yeah. I told that it was a completely different feel out there. First of all, they had numbers. All right. Second of all, the energy, it was amazing. And they were in a 2-minute drill, and I think the defense intercepted a ball. They were in the indoor facility, and damn, the whole place erupted, and both sidelines came off the field. And O just looked at me and says, "That enthusiasm's contagious." So I said, "It sure is." I'd be saving my energy, but they got a lot of excitement in the building there. I do know that, and I think everybody down here in Georgia asked me how the Tigers going to be. I'm going to say a little better than you think.
What's it like to coach defensive line for Ed Ogeron? That's obviously his corner of the store. What's it like to be one notch under him?
Sometimes you just got to yield and let him go. You know what I mean? I've been around him for 40-something years. So, listen, I know that's his deal. My circumstances there, I was about ready to hang it up a few years ago. Heck, man, I'm finna be 67 years old. I've done this for 42 years. You know what I mean? And, my deal was just to help him out when Dennis got hurt and just sort of ended up staying the next year. And then after the year we had, it was time for the old man to get out of there.
Well, one thing I noticed when you were in the building, I was up there one night doing an interview for the pregame show, and it was right around signing day, and you got the word that Bryce Langston was headed to Baton Rouge, and I don't think I'm overstepping my bounds to say you were quite excited about his potential in purple gold. That's not a guy we've talked about a ton because of the depth and the older players we've got, but why so excited to get Bryce Langston to Baton Rouge?
Well, from the just the ability standpoint, the one thing, a movement and efficient movement is what we did in the NFL. And a guy that can can learn a learning skill. Well, the first time I went to recruit him, we were still going out, and I saw him playing 7-on-7, and he was playing receiver. Then I realized how big he was and how big he's going to get. And then I was around him a little bit. He's about as great a kid as it is. He had a little grade issue that he had to make sure that he made it, which he did. And we trusted him to do that. And I think a lot of people missed out on the kid.
Last one, Coach, and again, we really appreciate you spending some time with us here on a Wednesday. You were a part of the 2009 Saints run to the Super Bowl and a part of the 2019 LSU football season, which obviously we know was the best in the history of the school. Can you speak to those two rides that you were able to go on in South Louisiana?
Well, look, let me tell you something. It's great to be lucky sometime, be in the right place at the right time. But two great football teams, and everybody always asks me about those two, and I always talk about my championship at Neville High School too back in the day. So I feel like I made the trifecta there in Louisiana, and when you work that long and you look back, and it's a lot to be proud of. But you're talking about a great, when you win championships, you got a great team that works together, and you'll walk hand in hand rest of your life together. And that's what we still do with that 2009 team and the Saints. And you can tell these guys that played on Joe Burrow and those guys keep up with each other, and they'll be friends forever. Somewhere down the line, 20 years, I'll be naming kids after each other,
Coach, we really appreciate the time. I've enjoyed it. Enjoy that porch time and retirement, and we'll do it again sometime.
Well, I'll see y'all at some games this year. I'll be up there for a few games.
Awesome, Coach. We really appreciate
down
it.
there, I guess. All right. Bye.
That's Bill Johnson, former LSU defensive line coach. Like he said, he was asked to come on because Meatball Dennis Johnson got hurt in camp. He couldn't really. He hurt his leg. He was in a cast. He couldn't get up and go. So we had to have somebody, and Ed called Bill Johnson. Said, "Hey, I need you." And he came in and coached the defensive line on one of the best teams in the history of the school.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for him. I remember when Meatball had both knees going on at the same time.
Yeah.
That was crazy to go on. But, yeah, definitely Coach Johnson did a great job with those defensive line. Obviously, winning it all was a great thing for Tiger Nation.
You should have seen him when they got that commitment from Bryce Langston. He went running down the hall. He said he's 66 years old. He was moving pretty good when they got Bryce Langston's phone call. I wasn't in position because I'm kind of a media guy, whatever. Couldn't send out any Twitter or any reaction, but I saw it. And they were fired up. So they got some younger defensive linemen they're really excited about in that crew. But a lot of the older guys that he coached over the last couple of years are going to be counted on to do a ton against this UCLA running attack on Saturday. So I wanted to get Coach Johnson on and so much enjoyed it. In about 18 minutes, Pete Futek covers college football for College Football News. We're going to do a little bit more of a national look. But when we come back, look at some Heisman odds. We'll throw some fake money around. Not real. Might as well spend it. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 104.5 ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside, off the bench, middle, relief, and after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 104.5 ESPN.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
You guys are out on the front lines, fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the need on us.
All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. Need repair? Our service department is ready and available to help you today. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
South Louisiana. Call WCK today for a free estimate or online, WCKFoundationRepair.com.
This is Skip Bertman, and as a coach for over 50 years and the father of 4 daughters, we've had a lot of happiness and accumulated lots of stuff. Dependable Storage wants your stuff. Now open in Baton Rouge. Visit DependableStorage.com.
Hey, Baton Rouge, it's Peter Burns. Join me and Katie George every Sunday morning at 6 for Best Week Ever right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Never buying a truck from anywhere else. Great to work with.
Shop BayouFord.com.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, the final show before the boys head to California to the Rose Bowl. I'm Executive Chef Michael Johnson answering your Munchies questions, more LSU UCLA, and college football week 1. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you missed anything today, you can find it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. And we got power in the building, so the YouTube channel has been alive and humming. You can catch it there. Join us in the chat, presented by Bayou Ford, and we'll be right back here tonight from 8 to 10 on the Tiger Zone, presented by LeBear's, following the Ed Ogeron show, which they're going to find a way to do somehow because he ain't here. But they're going to find a way to get him logged in and on the show for an hour from 7 to 8. Math is hard. From 7 to 8, he'll be on. We'll be on from 8 to 10 immediately following it, taking your phone calls. So you had a rough week. You want to talk some football, maybe pour a cocktail with us. Tonight, 8 to 10, Tiger Zone, presented by LeBear's, Hunt and Hill. All right, let's spend some fake money. That's always the best money to spend. Doesn't count. So we're going to look at the Heisman odds entering the season. Look, we know what can happen. Robert Griffith III can come out of nowhere. Joe Burrow can come out of nowhere. Devontae Smith, nobody had him this time last year. But we got some odds from Bovada that we're looking at. And if I, Jeremy Hill, gave you a hypothetical $100 to spend any way that you wanted to on these odds, and you were trying to come up with a with some Heisman bets, tell me where you're tossing your coin to.
I'm actually going to put $50 of mine on Malik Willis from Liberty. Now, how about that one?
$50 for somebody from Liberty?
He is plus 4,000. So with my $50, if he so happens to win the Heisman Trophy, That's $2,000 in
That
my
is.
pocket.
That's
and
good
I
money.
and I like this pick because he's the number 4 quarterback on Mel Kiper's big board. So he's ahead of JT Daniels. JT Daniels is number 10 on that list. So I'm rolling with Malik here. I'm gonna have to think about where I put my rest of my $50. So I'll let you go right now.
Liberty, I do know this year is playing Ole Miss. That stage is big for Liberty. Is it quite big enough for the Heisman Trophy? That's going to be tough. I mean, you have to really make an impact to get up there. Randy Moss, of course, got his way onto the finalist stage with Charles Woodson and with Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf from Marshall. But it's going to be difficult for a guy from Liberty to poke his head in and do it. Now, your payday would be quite good, and they're going to have a potent offense, and he's going to put up some crazy numbers. Hugh Freeze's offense tends to do that. But that would be – see, that's bold. Yesterday we were talking about bold, and you gave me Florida winning the East.
Okay.
That is a bold pick to have Liberty's quarterback go ahead and win the Heisman Trophy. I'm making an effort here to pull up Liberty's entire schedule just so we can chat about it, but it's not – their website doesn't appear to be the most high-tech. Their home schedule, not very good. The entirety of the 2021 schedule. Virginia Tech, BYU. Okay.
They got some comp on there.
There's something, but it would be tough.
You have to go crazy.
So you still got $50 to spend.
But
here's how I'm going to work mine. My first one is going to be the chalk to try to, play something safe that has a low return. I would spend $20 on Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma. We know what Oklahoma's offense does. They had back-to-back Heisman winners with Baker and Kyler. It's very likely they're going to wreck the Big 12 and have a really good record and have a really good standing at the end of the season. It's very likely they're in the playoff hunt. It's very likely he's in the national eye. It's very likely his numbers are good. That's my safe, boring play with my $20. Now, I still got $80 to spend, which we're going to use to make a little bit more cash potential, but I have to go with Oklahoma's quarterback to start. Now, the two that I'm going to spend $40 on each are names in college football, but for reasons are down the list a little bit. Breece Hall from Iowa State's plus 2,800. And that's a guy who is going to put up huge numbers if he stays healthy. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year last year in a conference with Spencer Rattler. He was a first-team All-American, and he was 6th in the Heisman voting last year. People were pumping Iowa State because they got a ton back, including his offensive line. They've got a really good quarterback, and Hall has been the best running back they've had in the history of their school. If you're talking about a guy that maybe could run for 2,000 yards in a crazy situation, if they want to run the stats up that way, maybe they beat Oklahoma, make a push at a playoff run, which is people think is possible for Iowa State. I don't necessarily love being in the camp, but there's a way you can talk yourself into it with what that team's got coming back. If Iowa State pulls a Washington or pulls a Michigan State and gets into the playoff by upsetting some Oklahoma and getting in, Breece Hall's got a really good chance to be a Heisman Trophy guy, certainly on the short list in New York. So I've got him for $40. My other one, you'll love this. It's more about the scene that's going to be created early on, and it's one that Cam Newton used. It's one that Joe Burrow used. It's one that Johnny Manziel used. If you can get your school over the hump and beat Alabama and be the star of that show, then you can find your way to the Heisman Trophy podium. And if Texas A&M finds a way at Kyle Field to beat Alabama, I'm not picking that, but if they do, Isaiah Spiller's probably going to run wild.
Yeah.
And he's plus 5,000 on the Heisman odds.
Yeah.
They beat Alabama early. They beat LSU late. They beat Georgia. There's some sort of storybook run here. He's the best player they got.
Yeah.
And it's plus 5,000. I'm going to throw $40 at that. So I've got the chalk and Spencer Rattler for 20. I'll throw 40 at running back Breece Hall. I'll throw 40 at running back Isaiah Spiller. Those would be my big paydays, and I think I got a good chance of making a return.
Yeah, I like those picks. I got two more on my list. My last one's not going to shock you. Everyone knows that. That last one's not going to shock you. This one may shock you a little bit, but I'm going to throw $25 on Tank Bigsby from Auburn. I think they're going to lean on him heavy this year, and if Auburn somehow can sneak and win 8 or 9 games, pull off an upset of Alabama like they normally – no one ever predicts it. They somehow just every couple years they somehow find a way to upset Alabama. If they can do that and Tank's having a crazy season, I can see his name being in the Heisman running. So I'm gonna throw 25 on plus 5,000 on Tank.
He's the best back in the league. I think he's better than Spiller. I think he's better than Robinson at Alabama. I think he's better than what LSU's got. I think he's better than what Georgia has fractionally. He's the best back in the league. I thought he was great last year. And they got their whole line back and their quarterback back, who theoretically should be able to operate, even though I don't love Nix. But, Harson's going to ride him. My question is a running back going to get it if they go 8-4? And I just don't know if you're going to be able to get there. They're going to have to shock the world, basically, and be up there to win the West for him to get a look at this, I think.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think either that or pull off that Alabama upset when the whole world's watching.
Yeah, for sure.
And he has a crazy game. I think that would throw his name in there as well.
He'd have to run for over 2,000.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you saw what happens. I mean, Leonard had the best start to a season we've ever seen here. Yeah. And he went to Tuscaloosa and ran for like 30 yards, and that was the end of that. No one ever talked about him again.
Yeah.
Now, they got him at the end, so we'll see.
Yeah,
but
that's going to be big with his Heisman chance. And then my last with this no soccer. And look at the numbers on this. I'm going to sell you on this with the numbers. Plus 6,600 for my guy, Mad Max Johnson, baby. Come on, man. Let me pump some sunshine on my boy Max. Obviously, coming back off that amazing season to end the year in Florida and Ole Miss game, coming back with a lot of his weapons back and obviously some new weapons to play with. So I think if Mad Max can get hot in this team, like everyone says, our ceiling is probably college football playoff. Our floor is probably not even making a bowl game. If we can hit our ceiling, Max is going to play a huge part in that. And I'm going to throw $25 on that plus 6,600. I like my odds with that.
Look, he's got a cushy landing spot. He's got the ability to put up huge numbers for a brand name program that is capable of running the gauntlet and winning games. It's the exact same runway that Burrow used to get there. Now, you've got to win those games, and you got to go nuts in them. Burrow lit Alabama up like a Christmas tree in Tuscaloosa and scored 50 on them, and that's what you got to do to make it happen. So Max has that runway. I don't know if I'm betting on it necessarily, but I like my quarterback. I feel good about my quarterback. I did a whole segment entering 2019. I did not predict that Joe Burrow was going to win the Heisman Trophy. I did say that it was the best I felt about LSU entering a season at quarterback since maybe Jamarcus in 2006. And the reason I said that is because Flynn had never played. And then you lost Pearlou, and you had the Lee Jefferson era that you were always thinking maybe they'd get better, but I don't really know. And then you went into an era where you moved to Brandon Harris and Anthony Jennings, and you never had a guy coming back you really felt great about. And Etling, okay, fine. But Burrow at the end of his junior year looked the part, and I went, they're going to be fine at quarterback. And he, of course, was way better than fine. He was spectacular.
Yeah.
And Max, what he did at the end of last year makes me feel fine. It doesn't make me feel, like Oklahoma does with Spencer Rattler right now, or even, to an extent, maybe not even what JT Daniels was, but I feel comfortable with Max, and it wouldn't surprise me if he had a great year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think when you have everything that was laid against him going into that Florida game, no depth at receiver, offensive line is a revolving door, and then obviously the running back, we had no idea who our running backs were at that point. It was Max, man. He stayed composed. He didn't have 10 turnovers like normal freshman quarterbacks do on the road, and then it's the way he battled at home to finish that game. I have all the confidence in the world. I think he does too. He comes from that pedigree with his dad. I'm excited to see what Max can do with all the pressure and all the money on the line. I think he's going to have a good season.
Plus 6,600, I'll allow it. I'll allow you to throw some coin on plus 6,600.
Yeah.
Ain't going to hurt nobody. It's fake.
Yep.
Let's come back with Pete Futek, who covers college football for College Football News. Take a more of a national perspective, but also he watched UCLA. What does he think about the Tigers and Bruins? That's next on Hunt and Hill.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
They always seem to come up with a big play or sometimes just a smaller one.
Switch to Progressive today.
Bottom line, they're going to win. Or lose.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Did you know that most adults with autism are unemployed, and a major hurdle is the lack of job opportunities? That's why Autism Speaks is teaming up with Lee Container, the J. Donald and Laurel Lee Family Foundation Fund, and Delivering Jobs to create a more inclusive workforce in the U.S. Are you an HR professional, community leader, or business owner? Join us in creating a workforce where people of all abilities can contribute and thrive. To learn more, visit autismspeaks.org/employment.
Furnished by the Entertainment Industry Foundation.
Hey y'all, it's Marty Smith. Join Ryan McGee. Hey, that's me. And me for Marty and McGee, Saturday mornings, 7, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
My insurance company has my back.
Come on, man. Call MGM.
MGM. Don't miss a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill. The rest of the station's going off to La La Land, but we're back in studio. It's a throwback Thursday. You will not want to miss it. Hunt and Hill, noon to 2 weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
About half an hour left here on a Wednesday. You can catch us later this evening, 8 to 10 on the Tiger Zone, presented by LeBears following the Ed Ogeron Show. Now head out to the phone lines. Pete Butek from College Football News joins us now. Pete, thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you guys doing with everything over the last week?
It's been a rough couple days, but we're making it. We got some power here in the station in Baton Rouge, and there's a whole relief effort going, but I think a lot of people are excited to get to a television some way, somehow, and watch the Tigers play on Saturday night.
Sometimes a distraction like that can mean absolutely everything.
It sure can.
Yeah, hope you're staying safe and everything.
We really appreciate it, and we're working through it. It's not our first time, probably won't be the last, so it's just part of it down here. Pete, you were able to watch UCLA on Thursday. Obviously, the score was impressive. It has not been impressive for 3 years under Chip Kelly. Is this maybe a bit of a turning the corner? I guess we find out on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you had the difference between both Nebraska and UCLA on the same Saturday, where you had two programs that should be a whole lot better than they are and needed to be built up and worked on. And the problem is, obviously, at Nebraska, he just has not had the guys there to build that up. But at UCLA, Chip Kelly really started over. He started with his types of guys. He did not necessarily rock the recruiting rankings, but that's not how he's always operated. He gets the guys who fit his system, his style, and what he wants to do. And now he's got a team full of old guys who can play. And so the Lions are very good. He's got a veteran quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson who had an awful game against Hawaii, but that didn't seem to matter. And you have a defense that can hit about as well as any UCLA defense in a long, long time, because D has not been a thing at UCLA, and it appears to be one now because that group was flying around and hitting.
Bigger game for Ed Orgeron or Chip Kelly on Saturday?
I'd say Ed Orgeron. I mean, look, it's as long as Chip Kelly keeps on advancing, as long as the team keeps on playing okay, no one's expecting UCLA to win the Pac-12, even the Pac-12 South. So the pressure's a little bit off. But look, if you're Ed Orgeron, it's obviously you're still a made man after 2019, but you want to prove that everything is back on track to at least be top 10 worthy. And the talent is there to be good enough. And now you want to beat the Pac-12 team. Like, look, I realizing obviously where your allegiances lie, it would be a great thing for college football in general if UCLA wins it. It would be a great thing for college football if Oregon could beat Ohio State in 2 weeks, and if Washington could beat Michigan, just to kind of bring in a national scope and make the Pac-12 matter again. I don't think it's going to happen, but overall, to answer your question, it is absolutely a much, much, much bigger game for LSU.
So Chip Kelly came out with a very vanilla offense against Rainbow Warriors in Hawaii. Do you think he comes out that simplistic, or do you think he opens up the offense against LSU?
I think they opened up a little bit, and they didn't show anything with the pass rush either. They really didn't show much of anything. So I do think you're going to have a more aggressive group. And look, having a game under your belt's going to matter. I mean, that's why you schedule Hawaii instead of LSU to start the season, where you can have a bad day from your veteran quarterback and still win 44-10. But they were explosive in all phases. They played with a confidence and swagger that hasn't been there in a while. And you can kind of see that this team is sort of starting to come together under Chip Kelly. But again, LSU's got more talent. LSU's got more depth. LSU's got the NFL guys. They've got the line. It's just a question of how quickly can whatever kinks need to be worked out before you can kind of settle in that game.
So I know you mentioned Chip Kelly got to come out a little more aggressive. So what do you think that means for Dorian Thompson-Robinson? He didn't have the passing game he would have liked week one. What do you think he's going to have week two?
More balanced, more just overall, just more quick-hitting throws. They let the plays develop a little longer down the field, but it's still a Chip Kelly offense. This thing doesn't go at warp speed like it did when it was really rocking and rolling at Oregon, but it still wants to move fast, and he's got the running backs who can hit home runs. I mean, Zach Charbonnet, the Michigan transfer, was averaging something like 16 yards a carry against Hawaii, and it's a good Hawaii team. I mean, it's going to go bowling. It's going to be a factor in the Mountain West. It's a tough, decent team. That's not some cupcake FCS game that they ripped through. So LSU's going to have to fight it a little bit, especially early on, because you got to assume that UCLA is going to come out absolutely blazing, and as we know with college football, these are really, really long. Just weather the early stuff from UCLA where they come out with their fire and they think they want to have a shot here. And I do think in this game UCLA is going to get up early, and social media is going to be all over UCLA, being like, look, it's the next big thing, and then just settle in and let the game play out.
Pete Futak from College Football News, our guest on Hunt and Hill. Let's go a little bit more national here, Pete, and let's go to Clemson, Georgia. What do you think?
Absolute coin flip. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for something magical here. It really is about both defenses. And Lawson last year for Clemson, even though it won the ACC championship, even though it was number one in the ACC in total defense and scoring defense, that wasn't quite the defense it should have been because everyone was hurt. It was a really, really young group, and everyone was banged up. Like the Notre Dame game the first time around, they were at just half staff for that. I mean, it just was not the normal Clemson D. Now that group's just going to be flying around. DJ Uiagalelei, he would have been the number 2 pick in the draft this year had he been able to come out. I mean, he's just that good. And then on Georgia's side, same thing. I mean, the defense is going to be stellar. I mean, you're not going to run against this group. And Clemson, who couldn't run all that well last year, is not going to get that ground game going in this. So you have two NFL quarterbacks, two of the 5 best defenses, if not 2 of the 3 best defenses in college football. I will be shocked if this isn't anything other than 27-24 one way or another. I'm picking Georgia only because it's the underdog in this. But if it was Georgia -3, I'd probably be picking Clemson. I'm hoping that it's that close and that good. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters in this is who loses and by how much. If it's close, the loser is still in the college football playoff and national championship title hunt no matter what. If it's like a 34-3 domination, things get different.
That was my next question, so I won't ask it. We'll just keep on moving around a little bit. Let's look to Jimbo and the raise that he got today. Deserved. Your thoughts on it and your thoughts on the A&M program as they come off what was one of the better years they've ever had.
A couple of different things. I am never a fan of giving coaches raises when you don't have to. Like, what are you going to do? Jimbo, you're going to lose Jimbo Fisher? No. And the whole vote of confidence thing for recruiting, I always think it's overrated, especially in a name, image, and likeness era where all the players are going to care about is how much money they get, not much, money the head coach has. But, all right, look, he's built this up. We talked about Scott Frost and Chip Kelly before. Well, Texas A&M needed an overall change in how it operated. And so now last year they came close. This year, obviously you guys know the schedule, Alabama at home, and not a whole bunch else to worry about other than LSU after that. So everything's in place for another monster year. So let's see if they can keep it going without Kellen Mond, because that's the big question mark. If they get good quarterback play, everything else is going to be in place.
Yeah, you kind of stole my question there. I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on Haynes King? Not obviously not a lot proving yet. Do you think he can have a breakout season this year?
The problem with that, though, is that for A&M's style is not normal. It's about control. It's about just slow and go and keeping the tempo at their pace and having the clock and making sure that they are in handling every situation. And that worked when you had a 4-year veteran like Kellen Mond, who will just make the right plays, not screw up. I think he threw, 4 interceptions last year? And now it's the argument about Kellen Mond with the Minnesota Vikings that he has, quote, happy feet. Well, that's what you get when you're coached up to just not screw up. So the fatal flaw in this for A&M is what happens when you have to turn it loose and you are in a sort of a shootout. Well, A&M hasn't been able to quite do that with the biggest of big teams. And so we'll see if Haynes King can add that dimension to this that really wasn't there under Kellen Mond as good as he was.
Who are you buying off the radar here? Are you in on Iowa State? Are you in on North Carolina? Who off the out of the blue bloods, the teams that are getting some preseason steam, do you like?
Not really any of them,
Yeah.
only because, look, Iowa State was really good last year and they get everyone back, but you have a better Big 12 this year, which kind of feeds into my next point coming. In North Carolina, there is still a prove-it factor. Yeah, it's been nice. It's been fun. But then they lost to Florida State last year. It's Mac Brown. He's got all the talent there. Does he have enough to be more than the number 2 team in the ACC? I don't think so. But the problem why I don't like these two is kind of the overarching thing in college football this year is it's the year of the super senior. And we saw this on Saturday with Illinois where, Nebraska might have a little more talent, but you had 22, 23 to 24-year-old grown-ass men on Illinois who, guys who don't want to leave and go get real jobs yet. Who wants to when you get to stay in college for an extra year and have fun? And there's just a little added edge there to the 22, 23, 24-year-old guys rather than the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. And so you've got teams like Texas Tech, which are loaded with super seniors, and they have a quarterback in Tyler Shug coming in from Oregon. You have Ole Miss, which already had a high-octane offense in place and has a ton of super seniors returning. So I don't think either one of those teams win their respective conference titles, but they're going to be a problem for the big boys just because you've got these old, motivated guys who are mature enough to handle every situation.
I got another school outside the Power 5. How are you feeling about Cincinnati and Desmond Ridder at the quarterback position? I know a lot of people have them in the top 10.
I am a card-carrying Power 5 snob, so I say that, yeah, Cincinnati's good, but look at their ratings. Are they really the second best, technically, second best Big Ten team? No. It's a good team. They could absolutely beat Indiana. They could absolutely beat Notre Dame, but that's not the point. when that's fine, but then they get the American Athletic Conference schedule. It's not like, being in the SEC West where, okay, if you're LSU, yeah, you could probably beat Alabama. Now beat Auburn. Now beat Texas A&M. Now beat Florida. Now beat all the teams. Beat the Power 5 schedule. It's not necessarily a fair argument, but Cincinnati is very good. I think UCF is kind of the underplayed team in the American Athletic Conference this year under Gus Malzahn. But certainly Cincinnati is very good. I think it's just kind of overrated just because of the conference they play in, just because they are going to rise up and be awesome in those 1 or 2 games this year that matter.
All right, Pete, let's have some fun. LSU plays USC in Vegas in 2024. Who's USC's head coach that day?
Yeah, let's go with Lane Kiffin.
Freaking Lane back.
They say, you know what, we love you, Lane. We got you now. You're all good. Look, the thing about USC is, and this goes again to the whole Scott Frost Chip Kelly thing, is it requires luck. Even for places like USC, which should be great no matter what, it requires getting a Dabo or getting a Nick Saban or even a Lincoln Riley. That's just luck. I would think if you're USC, you go highest of high end. I mean, you can get James Franklin if he turns out to be the guy. Pick your coach if you want. I don't think it's going to be Clay Helton. Everyone loves him. He's a good dude, but I think they're going to, by 2024 when they play, it is going to be whoever the big-time hot head coach is out there at the time. I'm still amazed Urban Meyer is not the head coach there, but as we know, Urban seems to be pretty happy doing the NFL thing and not having to make recruiting calls at this point.
Tons and tons of picks and previews, including LSU and UCLA, up at collegefootballnews.com. He is Pete Futek. We appreciate some time, Pete. Enjoy the football this weekend.
Absolutely. Hang in there, guys. Hope you're all well.
We appreciate that very much. Sure will. That is Pete Futek, College Football News. When I saw that announcement for LSU USC come by, I was like, God, I need to pull for USC this year. I need them to go like 9-3. I got to keep Clay Helton around for a little bit. I don't want them getting the right guy in there 2 years before LSU goes out there and then you end up with a good team. I don't want any part of that. Now, we thought we were playing with fire with Tom Herman over at Austin. We were able to survive that. But I just keep Clay Helton there. They don't need to figure out just yet until we get done with Vegas.
I think the biggest thing I took from Pete, he said he keeps his Power 5 card in his back pocket.
So does the guy that comes on at 3 o'clock. He don't want to hear anything about anybody who's not in the Power 5. Just shut up and stay in the corner. That's what Matt Moscona says. And look, I don't disagree with that at all. Come back and close it out next. Hunt and Hill.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have, and Patient Plus is always taking care of us just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Or curbside pickup. Call 225-749-6354.
At Louisiana Bayou Bistro, when I get something, with something else.
Hey, it's Dorian Noka. Join me and Mel Kiper Jr. for Dorian Mel Saturday mornings at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Never step foot in a car dealership again. Shop BayouFord.com.
As a fan, this is amazing. No, it is. Time of the year. This is what we talked about. This is real, man.
Are you ready? Because I'm ready.
This is Freddie Coleman, and you know I'm ready.
This is Greedy. Northwestern is ready.
Ian Fitzsimmons here. I'm ready. So are Oklahoma and Texas. Sort of. The SEC.
When it comes to talking sports, we'll be all you ever need. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We're previewing the SEC weekend ahead with Russ Mitchell of College Football News. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing it down on a Wednesday. Look, UCLA, Hawaii is one thing. Non-conference, yeah, we play them. Not my favorite thing in the world. Tomorrow is pretty good.
Yeah, I would say.
Tennessee plays, they're going to be terrible, but that's an SEC school that's going to play. They play at 6 o'clock on the SEC Network against Bowling Green. And then you've got a real, actual conference football game. Ohio State visiting PJ Fleck in Minnesota. That's a 6 o'clock kickoff on Fox. That's real sports, not to mention there's a ton of other games. Ranked Utah team plays, ranked Arizona State plays, Coastal plays. They're ranked. Probably shouldn't be, but they are. There's like 20 games tomorrow. It really starts tomorrow.
Football's here, man. It feels good, man. Almost surreal, especially with the hurricane and losing power and everything. But football is back, and I can't wait to tune in.
Let's take it or leave it here to get on down the road. Mark Schlabach of ESPN says Coach O's on the hot seat this year. Take it or leave it. It's now or never for Coach O.
I'll leave that, man. I think Coach O, you don't get fired after you win a national championship. Obviously, this team has some holes that you would like to see fixed. It would have to be really bad for it to be true hot seat. So I'm gonna leave that one.
I would too. Sure. If he went 3-8, we got to have a discussion. But I think last year he made some mistakes. There's no question. He admitted to them. It was a crazy year. Half his team quit. So look, let's see what we can do this year with a full cavalry.
All right, Roy McElroy says it's pretty tough to be Bryson DeChambeau right now. Are you taking or leaving? Bryson is really having a tough time on the tour right now.
I'll take it. Look, there's no doubt, and we spoke about this yesterday. I'm starting to feel a little bit bad for him because he's cracking a little bit mentally. Look, he shot 60 the other day and had a chance to shoot 59 on a par 72, so it's not like he can't play golf anymore. But the heckling, which people think is funny, like I guess it's not real life, so it's not like you're threatening him or anything, so maybe that you get entertainment out of that. I'd rather just watch the guys go out there and perform than try to get in their kitchen, for 5 hours. But it's the fact of the matter is that they've made a rule now you can't call golfers by the wrong name because of this. He's hurting a little bit. There's no question about it. Patriots say Cam not having the vaccine did not play any factor in them moving on from him, the veteran quarterback. Do you take it or leave it? Take them at their word.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I think if Mac Jones was playing terrible and then Cam somehow still got cut, then that'd be one thing. But Mac had an incredible preseason. That's what you want from your first-round quarterback, and I think it's his job. So I'll leave that one.
All right.
All right, let's go with this one right here. The generous donors of the faithful Nebraska Cornhuskers fan base donate enough tickets to keep their home game sellout streak alive. Are you taking or leaving this gesture gets their program back?
No. It's important to them to have the sellout streak, so they'll just buy all the tickets and try to get them into somebody's hands. But it's a gone era. We talked about it yesterday. It's over. They don't have the recruiting ability to stick. Now, you could get a really good coach in there, and he could have a good team here and there, but that's what Bo Pelini did, and they ran him out of town. That's what Frank Solich did, and they ran him out of town. If you think the days of beating everybody 52-10 are coming back by running the triple option with Tommy Frazier, I got news for you. That ain't happening. They had a great walk-on program they used. They were the first school to get really deep into strength and conditioning. They could recruit a state to Florida because games weren't on TV, and they were on TV, and there was a draw there. That's all gone. That day is gone. It ain't coming back. So if you want to cling to your sellout streak, that's fine, but it's not gonna make much of a difference.
I'm with you on that one as well. All right, I got another one for you. Phil Mickelson will be an assistant captain on the Ryder Cup team. Steve Stricker will not select him for the team. Take it or leave it, that decision.
I will take it.
I'll take it.
Sure. Yeah, he won the PGA. Statistically, he's one of the worst ball strikers on tour. He hits it all over the planet. We don't need him on the Ryder Cup team, specifically not an alternate shot, which we sent him out there last year to hit it in the hay for 4 hours and lose a point to Molinari and Fleetwood and all these guys that hit it in the fairway. I don't want to see it anymore. Phil, enjoy your time as a vice captain. You're going to be the next captain of the Ryder Cup team. That's all well and good. Didn't need him on the team, so that is a take it for sure. All right, Pete Butek joined us earlier this hour. It's great stuff. We talked some Heisman odds. Bill Johnson was great to lead off this hour as well. Also talked to Mike Regalado. It's all on demand. We're coming back tonight, 8 to 10 for Tiger Zone. Moscona's driving you home 3 to 6. Jimmy from 6 to 8. Les Miles Show, not Les Miles Show. Ed Ogeron Show on Eagle 98.1. And next, you can get your early line with Mario and Musso. That's next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota.